evening, everyone, and welcome to the Dope Show. DOPE stands for Developing Opportunities for Personal Empowerment. And each Monday night here on Intellectual Radio, I do that by telling you all about the cannabis industry, the cannabis plant, people in the industry, people who are surviving and thriving and living better lives because of medicinal cannabis. And tonight, I am so excited to be back here with you. I've really missed you guys. I've been gone for a couple of weeks doing some personal things and some fun things and even some cannabis industry things. So I'll talk to you guys about that a little bit tonight as well. We have a call-in interview today with my new friend, Mr. Nadir Pearson, from the Student Marijuana Alliance for Research and Transparency. That's a student group that he started down at Brown University. So we're going to talk to him about that and his journey to that point, and also look at some things that other students in other campuses and other places can start for themselves as well. So without further ado, I want to get started and talk a little bit about what's dope this week. So last week, I had the pleasure of being in Vegas for the first day of recreational marijuana sales in Nevada. And it was a great time. It was a very celebratory occasion. It was very hot. So the first day, I was not in line on the first day, but some of my friends were there. And the lines were a little bit long. You had waits up to an hour and a half, maybe even longer for some of the other dispensaries. But it was well worth it. And apparently, all of that excitement led to what they're calling now a state of emergency in the state of Nevada. So less than 2 weeks after sales of recreational marijuana kicked off in Nevada, the stores are running out of pot to sell. And according to the Reno Gazette-Journal, they're saying that this is a state of emergency, and the governor of Nevada, Brian Sandoval, has endorsed that state of emergency to allow more licensed distributors to get the cannabis out there. So nearly 50 dispensaries in the state have licenses to sell marijuana for recreational use. However, those same retailers in Nevada don't have the authority to distribute their own inventory. And so what Nevada did, and they're the only state in the United States that did this. Now, mind you, you do not need a card for recreational marijuana. So that means in Nevada, if you're over 21 years old, you can go into a dispensary and you can purchase it just like you could alcohol in other places. I actually posted a video of this on Two Dope Chicks Presents the Session. So take a look at that. Just a couple short little videos. They really don't want you like filming and doing stuff in there. So I was doing it on the sneak tip. However, in Nevada, they're having this state of emergency now because what they did is they set it up so that the alcohol distributors are the only ones that are allowed to distribute cannabis in the state of Nevada. Now, this was a little shady, if you ask me, because it's really just a way to keep the alcohol people in the mix. They want to keep their money coming in, and they're trying to protect the liquor stores from losing business as the demand for recreational marijuana rises. As I said, Nevada is the only state with legal marijuana that has that kind of an arrangement. So for some reason, they decided that their distribution process has to be so special that they have to use the alcohol distributors to get the products out there. Now, not only is that unfair to the cultivators and to the dispensaries, it's also unfair to the patient, well, not even patients, to the adults who are using it in Nevada, because here's the thing. There are very special rules and regulations and things that go into the distribution and transport of cannabis. And alcohol distributors are no better suited to do that than anyone else. If none of the other states have had to have the alcohol distributors doing their distribution, why on earth would Nevada need to do it? So stay tuned for that. But as it stands, the governor is like, look, y'all messing up our money. and we are going to approve some other distributors and some other people to get out here and get this cannabis out here, because we need our money. And when you have to follow the money, and they are not going to let that go to waste. So this state of emergency would allow the department to give licenses to a larger pool of applicants, including those outside of alcohol businesses. And they're saying that, a 15% tax on the cultivation of marijuana generates revenue in the state that is spent on public education. And so they don't want to mess up the money for the schools. So we'll stay tuned on more information on that. But speaking of schools, something else that's pretty dope, I'm going to talk about two things about the state of Colorado. First of all, in Colorado, they are using these millions and millions of tax dollars to fix up their outdated, sagging schools. So in the Denver Post, I was reading an article today. It's talking about a small community called Deer Trail, Colorado, small town of 570 people, but it's a very dedicated town. The people still, everyone goes to the homecoming dances and so on. Well, their schools are really run down, and they are getting millions of dollars in revenue from the excise taxes on retail marijuana sales that they're using for renovation and just replacements. And so they're building a $34 million pre-K through 12th grade campus over the next 2 years. And this is thanks to the marijuana sales funding through their Building Excellent Schools Today program, or it's also called the BEST program. Generally speaking, people like to put up a fuss about, cannabis and where the money's coming from, and is it drug money or sin money? And as they are saying here in this regional program manager for the Colorado Department of Education, so far, we have not heard from any schools who say, no, we're not going to use that money. So people put their, they get off their high horses when it comes time to actually using that money and using it for good. And that's something that, as I've said a million times now, that's something that we need here in the state of Illinois, in the city of Chicago, and abroad and other places in Illinois as well. So good things going on there in Colorado. We keep hearing about it, and I just want us to get into, hopefully we get into a position where we can really reap the benefits of it and not just hear about it, but actually live it. Something else that's going on in Colorado, first of all, they have the lowest unemployment rate in the nation. So they're right now hovering right around 2.2%. Things are looking really good over there in Colorado. And so what they are doing is that there are a lot of employers who have decided that they either are not going to include THC in their drug testing, or they're going to do away with the drug testing altogether, or they've even put in their ads that, yeah, we do drug testing, but if you test positive for THC, that does not automatically preclude you from employment. And this is I think this is a really huge step. I really hope this is something that more employers start to do anyway. They're finding that the employers, especially in Colorado, I mean, hello, this is one of the first states to legalize cannabis recreationally. Everybody's doing it. I'm not even saying that in an exaggerating kind of way, but they're finding that employers can't afford to have a zero tolerance approach to somebody's off-duty marijuana use. They're like, if that's the case, it's going to be very hard for us to find people to work in these jobs, and they're looking for, talent, a qualified pool of talented individuals. And to me, this really kind of points out that it's not just, we're really getting away from the stoner, lazy, unproductive stereotype of who is the cannabis consumer, right? So these are employers that are saying, listen, we need these people. We need these kind of people in our jobs, and we don't care if you smoke a little weed when you get off work, or if you pop a brownie on the weekends or whatever. We just want you to come in here and do this job. Actually, I didn't print the article, but I was reading something today, and I'll bring it in maybe next week, where there are some schools now in Colorado where they are actually allowing the students to use medical cannabis at school, which is also, which is another big step there, where it's really looking to destigmatize medical cannabis for people that really need it and are using it for their conditions. So, according to Higher Right, only 5% of all employers say that they formally accommodate marijuana use for any reason. So they are starting to kind of let up on some of those restrictions as it relates to looking for THC and all of that. Marijuana testing by Colorado businesses has slowly declined over the past 2 years as 7% dropped the drug from their pre-employment tests. So good look there. Let's hope that more employers follow suit with that. There's certainly no reason why, as someone, I'll just be honest, full confession here, as someone who has failed maybe one or two drug tests in her day, I definitely feel like there's no need for employers to be missing out on good employees, on good candidates, and people who can do these jobs just because of cannabis. It's, let's do away with that. One more thing that I want to mention is our state's capital in Washington, D.C. They are advancing legislation to give local minority-owned companies a preference when applying for licenses to operate medical marijuana businesses. So, as we all know, most dispensaries and the vast majority of growing operations and cultivation centers are overwhelmingly dominated by white men. I mean, no surprise there. However, although marijuana use is roughly equal among blacks and whites, blacks are 3.7 times more likely to be arrested for possession. So what's happening then is that we are then prohibited from being involved in the cannabis industry in a legal way. And there are some states, I think I talked to you previously about the city of Oakland, California, where they're taking some strides to make sure that we are being represented in the industry and that we're not being cut off from it. So DC looks like they are to ensure that minorities can profit from legal weed sales after decades of being disproportionately prosecuted for using and selling it. They're looking to give minority-owned businesses extra weight on their applications, so you get extra points for being a minority-owned business, and they're trying to really help to revitalize some of the black neighborhoods and some of the lower income neighborhoods. Currently, DC has 8 weed cultivation centers and 5 dispensaries, but only 1 cultivator is black. The ethnic composition of Washington, DC is 49% black and 43.6% white. So good things going on in DC. I certainly hope that as Senator Staines and Senator Cassidy are drafting the legislation and working on the legislation for the state of Illinois, I really do hope that we give some of those same considerations to communities of color, to people of color, and those of us who have been, again, disproportionately affected by the war on drugs. I happen to know that a lot of dispensaries, certainly in our area, out in the south suburbs and in Chicago and beyond, there are a lot of dispensaries that are going up in black neighborhoods, in minority neighborhoods, and poor neighborhoods, and it's not fair for people to not be able to get in on the industry and get some of that money. So hopefully our legislators will do right by us here in Illinois as the other states are doing across the country. Last thing, this past February, DC lifted its prohibition against felons convicted of possession with the intent to distribute marijuana, and they lifted that prohibition from stopping them from entering the medical marijuana industry. So good stuff going on there. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to come back and bring you a little bit of dope money news. Actually, no, I'm going to come back. We're going to talk to Nadir Pearson of SMART, Student Marijuana Alliance for Research and Transparency. And then we're going to wrap up with a little bit of dope money news after I talk to Nadir. So take care. Have a quick break. I'll be right back. And I'm back with the Dope Show. It's dope, developing opportunities for personal empowerment every Monday night at 8 p.m. on Intellectual Radio. And we're back with, on the phone, I have Mr. Nadir Pearson. He is the co-founder and president of SMART, that is the Student Marijuana Alliance for Research and Transparency over at Brown University. Nadir, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yes, no problem. Thank you so much for having me on, Kiana. Hello, the Dope Show. Very happy to be here.
So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about SMART because I think, first of all, I think it's a great idea. I think it's an awesome thing that you started at Brown. And as I told you before, I really want to give people ideas of things that they can do, organizations they can start, ways they can be involved in the industry, no matter what level they're at. So I think it's pretty awesome that as a student, as a college student, you started this organization. And I just wanted to tell my Dope Show audience about it.
Yes, 100%, 100%. So, the big thing about it is like trying to get other people into the industry. I think this is, a student organization is an easy way for you to take control on your campus for those of people who are, on college campuses or even at a high school for that matter.
Sure.
A student org can really be a way to build a community. And what I've been promoting a lot is just we're learning about it. You know what I mean? You can do a lot from just the internet and just bringing people together and allowing them to feel judgment free.
Yeah.
About cannabis.
Well, so
that's
tell me,
kind of a huge thing.
Tell me this. So what is the primary focus, or, tell my audience, what's the purpose of SMART?
Yeah, so SMART is, our three main pillars of SMART are education, activism, and then career development. So basically, even the Dope Show, just if we go on the Dope Show's website, you see that education is first and foremost. Right. We have to be able to not fear cannabis, but understand it. And that's really where we're moving away from. So with anything, I think cannabis related, we educate. And then from there, SMART wants to move on to activating and getting people involved in policy and actually, the foundation and the infrastructure of how cannabis will be able to evolve in our society. Because I don't want us to go into a whole legalization thing where we don't get it right as far as policy is concerned, and we start blaming cannabis for issues that we're doing legislative. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So now why do you think it's important for students to care about this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me, it's been kind of funny being, as I've gotten more involved in cannabis, getting an internship, working, creating SMART, I've seen that, like, as much as millennials enjoy smoking weed, we haven't been doing so much activism in it. So I'm at the point where we're going to be the next ones up. Colleges, especially colleges, we're going to be the next people in the workforce. Right. So how do we make sure that we're, first of all, informed about what's going on for the future? Because, it may not be something that a lot of students are thinking about now as they see it, it's getting bigger, but they're still timid. But still, as that will all go away, that timidness, that fear, that will all go away once you learn about it. So I think it's going to be the most important for students to get involved because, like I said, it's just, we're next up. That's really it,
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right about that. I mean, it's, cliche to say, but the children, the students, the younger generation, that really is the future. And soon enough, the older people are going to die off, and somebody kind of has to keep the fight going. Exactly. How is your organization, how is it different from like Students for a Sensible Drug Policy?
Yeah. So I think the most obvious way that is different is there's marijuana in the name.
Okay.
I think because it's something specifically for cannabis. And you see that, we have the discussion. A lot of us say we're switching back and forth from cannabis to marijuana. And that's one thing in the name that while it works as, SMART as an acronym, we need to really keep that word marijuana alive. Especially because we know of all the racialized history that comes along with that word.
Sure.
So I put that in our name for that reason, while I still address cannabis as a whole. Just because I want us to remember, not just 10 years from now, cannabis is legal everywhere, but then we don't realize all the detriment and the damage that it's done. And then, as far as like at a functional level, I think SSDP, it's national, right? We know about this. Everybody knows about SSDP. Jared Moffat, which is the director of Regulate Rhode Island, he's a Brown alum who was head the chapter of SSDP. So I see how that works, but what I want to stress about SMART is it's going to be, I want people, one, to feel like they can come in and start whatever they want around cannabis. Like, I'm not, you know what I mean? So then they can have that entrepreneurship involved, because that's where the career development is going to take place. Basically, everything in cannabis right now is almost a startup. Yeah. So that's perfect for students who want to do grassroots and get ideas and then work outwards to get investors and have that, you know, route. But then also, I think it's really important to get us more. I would say, I think SSDP I've seen a lot of policy with them, but I want to make it so that people can have more everyday ability to understand what cannabis is for and not have to, you know, the everyday person. Person that they can go in and say, hey, I want to incorporate this into my life and exercise, in food and fuel. And, you know, we really want to get niche and get real specific on cannabis, where SSDP sometimes, you know, they have other things to be concerned about.
Right. So they're more just drugs in general, whereas
exactly.
you're a little bit more focused.
Yeah, exactly. In our school, we have, you know, they do other, coke, Molly, all those other drugs, when cannabis is where we need to get at the first, you know, at the base, because cannabis, we see that how many people are being arrested for this compared to all the other drugs.
Sure.
And that's where I'm at with that.
Okay. So now how is it, so how is SMART, you know, perceived at Brown?
Okay. So the thing about SMART right now is last year was my first year not playing sports. So I used to play football at Brown, and then I had to stop due to concussions. So that first semester was me really getting my feet wet. Like I mentioned earlier, I work for Art and Cannabis now, which they have a decarboxylator. Chanel Lindsay, she's our CEO. She's great. And it gives the power back to the people. This, you know what I mean? The decarboxylator takes your THCA, breaks it down to THC, and then you go ahead and your bioavailable THC is there. So that kind of started the SMART, you know, how it's been progressing. I had to get it approved in the second semester, and I had to go and it was like, to get a student organ approved, you have to have 10 signatures. But I really, you know, I knew that this was going to be about cannabis, so I wanted to show everybody, hey, there's a demand here. So I got 50 signatures.
Okay. And
then last semester, I got it approved. This semester, I've been working with about a group of 10 students, and we're looking forward until the next semester and meeting with, emailing and reaching out to different organizations that we can ally with, and that we can bring it to campus, hold events. I'm looking to connect with others like URI, which is the other colleges in the area, and really bring all that into one. So right now, SMART is pretty fresh, but it's definitely excited to be even, you know, here speaking with you and to show, you know, get that press out there.
So did you get any pushback from the faculty or from the administration? I'm specifically asking because I know, you know, first of all, it's a little daring to put marijuana in the title, right? Because I know, even in doing different things like trying to advertise stuff on Facebook, you know, so my ads will get rejected.
Exactly.
You know, if you have cannabis in it, or if it says marijuana or whatever. So I'm just curious, like from a student or a faculty or administration standpoint, did you get any pushback in that regard, or is it too soon to tell, right? You haven't had a chance to rile things up just yet.
Exactly. I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest. One, I think the big thing was like, can we get it approved, right?
Yeah.
But we had SSDP who already do things on campus like drug testing for our spring concerts to check for purity. So that, you know, there's some things that people might think are somewhat maybe outlandish, or just a little extra, you know, to put it in layman's terms. But then we also have Brown Psychedelics and Scientists. So that's even still a little bit more, you know, cannabis is a mild psychedelic, but definitely not compared to anything maybe like a shrooms or an acid, right?
So wait, you said you have, let me back up.
These are groups that are already.
You said SSDP, they do drug testing for purity. They'll test what drugs?
Yes, for our spring concerts. Like if you have Molly, you can bring it into them and they will test it in order to make sure that you have pure Molly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Well, so that's why I was like, well, I think we can get this cannabis thing going. I was like, I think this could really fit into what we got going on here because, you know, like I said, we are able to, when I was going through the application process, I was able to meet with a student, the undergraduate council of students that is responsible for passing, you know, getting approved to all the organizations. So that really allowed me to show them my concern, my passion, and how much I wanted to raise awareness for this. And I think that really helped me help them, get this across. So I think what is going to be most important for us moving forward is obviously legality and making sure that we can do things. And I want to do as much as I can without breaking the law.
Right. Sure.
So that's where we're at with that. And even Rhode Island is having a High Times Cannabis Cup in September. So these are all things that we're trying to get students involved in and say, hey, look, this is an opportunity that you can actually be a part of.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in Rhode Island and just on the East Coast in general. So there's certainly a lot of buzz and a lot of advocacy opportunities there as well. What about, anything from your parents or your family members? Are they aware of your activism and interests?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm big on social media, and I'm big on, and I mean, I think I'll relate this back to SMART. Like, the last word is transparency, right?
Yes.
And that's where I'm at. That's me too. That's not just SMART. That's, I'm the founder and president. So I really am about transparency and just being honest about who I am, what I'm doing. And my family knows that. My family is, we have cannabis consumers in my family. They weren't ever promoting me to, they weren't ever influencing me to smoke weed or anything like that. They never, it was something that I found on my own that then they saw me with. And then they saw me how much I was not just smoking weed. They saw how my grades stayed the same and how I still win Division I in football and how I still, I managed to come to LA and work in a film internship. So my family has been somewhat skeptical because they're concerned and they love me. And this is still somewhere we have, black and white. It's legal and it's not legal in certain areas. So they want me to be careful. But I think because I've been able to just communicate with them, be open and be honest, they've been very supportive.
Well, I think that's just very important in general. You want to have the support with your parents and with your family as well, but also not have to be hiding anything and not have to be in the closet
hiding stuff.
Sure. How did you even become interested in cannabis advocacy? I saw a little bit of a video. You were talking about your grandfather, and you were saying how you didn't necessarily know then what you know now. So I'm just curious, how did you develop this level of passion for the industry and for what you're doing?
Yeah, I think what I always say is cannabis brought me to truth. I always say that because, and it's funny that you brought up that video as well, because even looking back at it now, thinking about it, that video, that moment in my life when my grandfather died, that was going into my sophomore year, which is the same time that I actually started smoking weed. So it's somewhat of a coincidence now, but it's not really. I think this is where I'm supposed to be. But like I said, I had to start, I smoked weed for the first time in high school, and then I was like, oh my God, I like this stuff, and that was dangerous not because of cannabis, but because I didn't know what everybody else was going to think about me. I was like, Oh man, I don't even know what I'm doing per se. I was just interested. I heard it. And then I began to learn more. And then I began to learn that hemp is better than cotton, things like that, where there would have been none of that cotton stuff had, hemp been around, and there wasn't plastics, and it was a better medicine than what we've been getting in prescription pills. And I just kept learning little by little, from my junior year, my senior year in high school, my freshman year in college. And like I said, once football was done for me, I realized that because cannabis allowed me to be an independent researcher, a free thinker, for that sense, it's something that I had to do on my own. I transitioned that and I said, hey, this is something that is relating to everybody. There's something in cannabis for everyone. That's, and then I realized how much black people were affected by this. And being a black person, I'm like, wow, we have an opportunity now to give, to make some money in something, because nobody's really giving us money. We're not getting reparations. I don't see it right now. But this is a way for me to work and give back to my community. So I was like, wow, this is a win-win in all types of ways.
That's great. Now, do you plan on working in the industry after graduation? I know you mentioned Ardent, Chanel Lindsay's company. Are you planning on continuing with that after graduation, or what are your, plans for the industry once you're done with SMART? Or are you ever done with SMART?
Yeah. I think exactly. That's a good point as well. I don't know if I'll ever be done with SMART just because I brought it into this world. It's like having a child. But no, 100% in the cannabis industry. I think that's what I'm doing right now is I'm building my resume, partially. I'm living my life, but this is what I love. So that's why it's the best part, because I'm building my resume around what I love. And I'm incorporating media into this.
Yeah.
I'm, online. I've had a vlog. I have social commentaries online. I have skits online. So I'm doing a little bit of everything right now. And then as just like we are here now, my life kind of puts me on a path, and I'm just on the path right now. The future, because it's in all of our futures. And that's what I've been trying to stress to everybody. This is going to happen. So let's just be informed about it. And I want to be a millennial voice for us to say, oh, I know this guy. He's doing this, and he's really leading the way. And that's what I want to be for a lot of people.
Well, I definitely thank you for that. I love your energy and your passion for it is really just exciting. I think one of the things that I've heard, that I've experienced for myself, and that I hear from just about everybody that I interview for the Dope Show, is that education has really been the key for a lot of people. Like, it's like once you start learning about it and digging into it and doing the research for yourself, I've just seen it where education breeds, advocacy, and education breeds passion, and people are just kind of taking what they've learned and just going with it. So I commend you for that, especially at such a young age. That you would even care,
I appreciate that. And like, that's what the thing is, I have a privilege, you know what I mean? Like, I really do. Being at Brown, like, that's a name in itself. So that's what I swing that around all the time, because I'm using it for the right reasons. And that's the big thing, is bringing that education to people, showing them that, hey, this is something that you can learn about. Now, people, like you said, people can feel my passion. They can feel it. I don't even, you know what I'm saying? The energy is there. And that has been like crazier thing, like parents of my friends have come up to me like, hey, I'm really interested in what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And my friends are taken aback because they're surprised that their parents are taking a step outside their box. So that's the type of inspiration that I see I'm giving to people, and it only works back, you know what I mean, to me, and really keeps fueling me to say, okay, this is something that's working. This is something that people are actually listening to, and it has a great message, because we all know the truth. And it's just spreading truth. Like, that's, you know what I mean? I want to spread this truth.
Yes. Well, and thank you for doing that. I also recognize too that as a young Black man, a young Black student at Brown University, a very prestigious place, not necessarily a place full of Black people, right? And so you're kind of, in some regards, you're taking a risk, but I want to thank you that you are absolutely representing not just the cannabis culture, but also the African American culture, and you're representing us in a good way, right? So you're not out there as a stoner. You better not be out there with your pants all hanging down and talking all stupid.
I mean, I wouldn't be on a Dope Show if I was doing that. That's, you know what I'm saying?
So I thank you for that. Let my audience know, where can they reach you? How can they connect with you on social media? Yeah. I know you have a pretty big following yourself. So what's your information, and how can they reach out to you?
Yes, you can find me at Ponyboy Pearson. So that's Ponyboy, like that old school cartoon character. Pear like the fruit, son like I'm yours. Ponyboy Pearson. And you can find me on everything with that one. Please connect with me. Please reach out. I'm willing to talk to everybody, anybody. It's all love, all the time.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I definitely appreciate you calling in to the Dope Show. Again, that's Nadir Pearson, Ponyboy Pearson, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the different platforms. He's everywhere. So definitely check him out. Thanks a lot. Thanks again. I appreciate talking to you, and we will connect soon. Good luck with everything you're doing with Smart, okay?
Thank you. Dope Show. Keep vibing. Keep sending out the great information, education. Knowledge is power. Let it be known.
All right. Thank you. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to wrap it up with some dope money news. This is The Dope Show on Intellectual Radio. Welcome back to the Dope Show. It's time to talk about dope money. So today I'm gonna talk to you guys about we're gonna do some stock tips because I haven't done that in a while. I've looked up some information, and I really want to just kind of introduce you to some concepts that you may or may not be familiar with. So we're going to talk about hydroponics and we're going to talk about Bitcoins. Let's start off. Well, there's a company called Single Point Inc., and they are developing Bitcoin payment solutions for cannabis businesses. And they've also recently acquired a hydroponics products company as well. And so, just to kind of give you a definition, hydroponics, you may or may not be aware, but that is a method of growing plants without soil. So basically, you're growing the plants in the water. Great method for growing cannabis. Is where we get the term hydro or dro or any of those other little loose slang terms that we use. And then Bitcoins, which you may or may not be familiar with, they are a form of digital currency that facilitates the transfer of funds without the banks or government regulations. And so if you're familiar with the cannabis industry, one of the biggest problems is banking and payment processing. Since cannabis is still federally illegal, and dispensaries and cultivation centers, various cannabis industry companies can't just go and deposit their money at the bank. They can't just, have a regular credit card or debit card system. If you've ever visited a dispensary, chances are very likely that there was an ATM machine either in the dispensary or very close by, because you have to use cash for the most part to purchase cannabis products. So Single Point Inc., they are developing a Bitcoin payment solution that enables dispensaries and other marijuana businesses to conduct credit and debit card transactions independent of the banks and the FDIC. And they're also 90% owner of Discount Indoor Garden Supply. So for short, that's called Diggs Hydro. And they offer soil and supplies, including hydroponic products, to legal cannabis growers. Now, Single Point is a leader in online products, retail stores, cannabis consulting, and equipment in California, which we know is the biggest cannabis market in the country. And they also recently partnered with First Bitcoin Capital to develop Bitcoin payment solutions for the industry. So these are kind of big developments here as we're looking at companies who are, making money, they're acquiring other companies, and they're making investments in the industry in ways that actually are not touching the plant. These tend to be a little bit safer companies so they don't have as much of the regulations and red tape as a dispensary or a cultivation center or other company that actually has to touch and manage and work with the actual cannabis plant. So the Single Point, their ticker symbol is SING. As of this evening, they were trading at 0.0195 cents per share. Their 52-week low happened back in October 25th, 2016, and that was at 0.0075 cents per share. And their 52-week high happened this year in February, on February 22nd, and that is at 0.142 cents. And then First Bitcoin Capital Corporation, their ticker symbol is BITCF. They are currently trading at 0.332 per share. They had a 52-week low back in October of 2016 of 0.001 per share. And their 52-week high just happened back in April of 2017, and that was at 85 cents per share. Now, another company that you are probably very familiar with, Scott's Miracle-Gro. So I was really excited to hear about this because, first of all, I love gardening. I grow vegetables and plants and flowers and stuff in my backyard. Not cannabis, not yet, but I do grow other things, tomatoes and greens and peppers and, basil, oh my. So I'm very familiar with Scott's Miracle-Gro products. They are the company that has such brands as Ortho, Roundup, Miracle Grow Turf Builder. So if you're trying to kill bugs in your yard, if you're trying to kill weeds in your yard or grow something in your yard, chances are you've got something from Scott's Miracle Grow. They're a leading lawn and garden care products manufacturer, and they have been investing in hydroponics via supplies to legal cannabis growers. Now, this is a big deal, and this is a really good thing because they are one of the biggest traditional business players in the cannabis industry, and only 10% of their sales are coming from the investments in the hydroponics, which means that if you invest, if you buy shares of Scott's Miracle Grow, you won't run as big of a risk of losing money if the industry tanks, because they're not getting all their money from the cannabis industry. Most of their money is coming from those other products and things that I just mentioned, but they've been around for a long time. Now, they're also the owners of the Hawthorne Gardening Company, and they've acquired various other leading firms in the hydroponics area, including soil, lighting, and nutrients. They're expecting to make some other acquisitions by the end of 2017. So whereas I usually talk about stocks that are a little bit less pricey, Scott's Miracle Grow, their ticker symbol is SMG. And today they were trading at $91.03. Their 52-week low happened in August of 2016, and that was at $73.13. And their 52-week high was just in December 12th, 2016, and that was at $98.92. So a little bit of a bigger investment there, but I would tend to say a little bit less risky, considering they're a very traditional company. They have tons of other products that are not in the cannabis industry, but they're making some really smart moves as far as acquiring and dipping their feet, getting their feet wet in the industry. So if I was going to put my money with somebody that was talking about growing something, probably do it with Scott's Miracle Grow. Now, some people are, I don't really get into the whole Monsanto thing and whatever, so you have to do your own research on that, to see if your morals with your GMOs and all of that stuff, if those things are in line. However, I'm just here to give you the information. As I've said before, and I'll say it again, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't even play one on TV. I'm just here trying to tell you how to get some of this dope money. So people keep coming up to me saying, hey, I got money, I want to invest, I want to do something. Here again are ways for you to invest. And finally, if you are looking to invest and you want to help a young woman from the inner city of Chicago, that's not really true. But if you want to help the Dope Show, a young show in the inner city of Chicago, you can invest in the Dope Show. We are always looking for sponsors. We are always looking for people to come on the show and if you have cannabis related products or a cannabis related business that you would like to pitch here on the show, please reach out to me at Two Dope Chicks Presents the Session. That's where we are on Facebook. Or you can send me an email at Kiana at twodopechicks.com. So that's all I have for the Dope Show this week. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I've really missed you all, so it's good to talk to you guys again today. Thank you so much to Nadir Pearson, Mr. Ponyboy Pearson himself, of the Student Marijuana Alliance for Research and Transparency. This has been The Dope Show. It's been great talking to you all, and I will chat with you next week. Bye.